What's happening, everybody? Michael here. Welcome back to another episode of Technoid, and in today's episode, we're taking a look at the all-new Beats Studio Pro. Now, this is a review I have been excited for because I was the one covering this on my YouTube channel. A lot of you guys found me because of that. So for those of you that were waiting for the review, here it is. Now, just a quick disclaimer before I start this review. I just want to disclaim right off the bat that unfortunately my audio sound sample equipment that I use to record the audio being outputted from the headphones unfortunately is broken. So I will not be giving a sound sample in this video. So you're going to have to trust me at my word. I apologize, guys. I usually like to try to get these things under control, but this is one that's out of my hands. So I apologize once again, but I promise you, you will enjoy the review. Now we got that out of the way, let's talk about these headphones. So you know the saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks? Well, I think that saying applies perfectly with these headphones. At first glance, they are exactly the same design as the Studio 3s. However, there are some notable differences here that I've noticed that do make it feel a little bit more refined and more tuned better for wearing experience, listening experience, and even more features. Starting with the build quality, it is again the same style as the Studio 3s. However, the ear cups have had a brand new fabric design with also new padding, which is much better than the previous Studio 3s. The headband at the top, which is just an air gap with padding, well, really no padding, really. It actually feels a little bit better this time around for long wears. So when I was in the gym working out and I was doing a lot, I found that these actually felt better than the Studio 3, so they must have done something a little different here. This is the navy blue color. This is the bluish color. It has a darkish hue to it, but then underneath it has a light blue to help give it a distinction. The ear cups themselves are nice and round. They have a nice symmetrical shape that fits almost all ears. I've given it to several of my friends to put on, and they all have found it very comfortable. The headphone, again, also has a metal band at the top. It has a nice sliding mechanism. Then at the bottom, you have the B logo, which acts as your power, volume control, press and hold. We'll get to all that in a sec. At the bottom, you have a 3.5 input. Thank you very much. Also is a USB-C connector. Thank God they got rid of micro USB. And then of course you have the power button and the multi-action button, which we'll get to in details in just a sec. So overall, when it comes to the design, the build, and overall, while it is also made of plastic, it does feel very lightweight and premium. It feels like a refined version of the Studio 3s with a few changes here that does make it feel noteworthy. Now, when you put them on your head, you're gonna see that they have nice isolation. They have a little bit of a clamping force, but nowhere near the clamping force of the Solo Pros. These are nicely adjusted. They fit your head nicely. You can adjust the band. As you can see, it feels very good, and it actually has a nice isolation when you put them on. Turning them on will activate the noise canceling and transparency. Now, transparency is a first time on these, so I want to talk about that right away. The transparency on these are pretty good. It is nowhere near the level of AirPods Max or even AirPod Pros, but they do let in a nice amount of sound. It has a nice little wind noise reduction, so if it senses wind or anything in the background, it tries to help reduce that. It does sound a little far away for vocals to come in, but you can still hear everything around you. The noise canceling has been improved heavily. I would honestly say that in comparison to the AirPods Max, I would say that the noise canceling are head to head, but the AirPods Max do have a slight little advantage, but the noise canceling is much better this time around. It blocks out a lot better. There's less cabin pressure that I've noticed in high noise environments, and overall it feels great. So overall, when it comes to the noise canceling and the transparency, top notch. This is the best it's been, and I think it's really great. Alrighty, now let's get to the tech specs. Now, starting off, this does not have an Apple H chip or W chip. Instead, it is using a Beats custom-made chip to help integrate with iOS and Android, which you will see in this video. But outside of that, it has Bluetooth 5.3. It has 24 hours of battery life with active noise canceling and transparency on. If you turn it off, you could achieve up to 40 hours of battery life. So very good battery life right away. On top of that, it now features spatial audio with Dolby Atmos. That means it has a dynamic head tracker and gyroscope built in. So when you turn your head, whenever you listen to the music, you will be able to get that full experience. And I'm really glad that it works natively for both Android and also for iOS, so you can get the best of both worlds in that regard. On top of that, it also features, again, the headphone jack. The USB-C is used for fast charging. If you charge it for 10 minutes, you can get 3 hours of playtime, but it's also built into the USB-C port a built-in DAC that supports Apple lossless audio. We'll get to that when we get to the sound quality check, but that is incredible out of the box because Beats was never about the quality, and the fact that you can use the Type-C input to listen to lossless audio from Apple Music is a great plus, and it works also for Android as well. So again, there is cross-compatibility here that works right away. And then the last thing to talk about, the last spec, is of course the one-touch pairing. If you turn them on, it will activate, and if you use an iPhone, it will sync across your iCloud account. It won't have that automatic switching where you go from one device to the other. You will have to do it manually, but the transition is very smooth, and also on Android it has quick pairing, so it works that way too. So overall, when it comes to the specs, it's great. Now, of course, comes the sound quality. Now, this is the part where I would play a sound sample, but unfortunately equipment's not working, so I'm gonna have to do it verbally. So right out of the box, I can tell you that the sound sample or the sound signature is very good. Not only is it better than the Studio 3 and the Fit Pro, but I would say it's very similar to the AirPod Max. But the AirPods Max have a better emphasis on the mids and high ends, whereas the Beats is more of the low end bass pronunciation, but that doesn't mean that they don't give an emphasis on the mids, the trebles, and the highs. Everything feels nicely combined together, but because it is the Beats signature, you're gonna get that bassy feel, but it doesn't feel overpowering, it doesn't feel muddy, it doesn't even feel like the previous gen. It feels nicely well blended, and it feels very nice to the touch. So overall, the sound quality wirelessly, excellent. No complaints here. Now, if you talk about the USB-C version with lossless audio, well, that's where we're gonna talk right now, because again, when you plug in the USB-C, you can get Apple lossless audio, you can get audio sent via the USB Type-C with the built-in DAC, and I can tell you, wired-wise, it sounds even better. It sounds more refined, tuned, it's less bassy, so it has a nicer balanced sound, and there are 3 EQs which you can switch by using the power button, and the power button works, and it also works as a multi-feature, so that's something you're gonna have to get used to, because when you press and hold, you can turn it on and off. If you double press it, you could switch through the cycles of active noise canceling, transparency, but when it's used hardwire, you could activate it to switch the EQs. They have the beat signature, entertainment, and vocal. I find that the entertainment is my favorite EQ preset because it gives more emphasis on the higher end, it gives you more of an action feel when you're watching a movie, but also gives a little bit more dimension to the music. But it's your choice, your preference. So overall, again, wired and wireless, these things sound very good. But again, I think the edge still goes to the AirPods Max because of their tuning for more higher quality sound. But again, like I said, everybody's different. This is a microphone sample of the Beats Studio Pro. This is what they sound like in an indoor environment. Comment down below, let me know, what do you think of the microphone quality of the Beats Studio Pro. Last thing to talk about is the touch controls, how these things work, and also what it's like from app to app in terms of iOS and Android. Now, on the side where the Beats logo is, you can use that again as the multi-gesture button. If you press it one time, you can play and pause, double tap to skip, triple tap to rewind. You have the volume up and down, which is very clicky and tactile. When you go to the power button, if you press it one time, it will turn the headphones on and off. If you double press it, you can of course switch to active noise canceling and transparency. Pressing and hold the button will obviously enable the pairing mode, and the controls work across the board from Android to iOS. Although I do find with Android that it does have a better experience in my testing. While it's great on iOS, I feel like it's more tuned for the Android because you can do more. And one of the first negatives that I do have is really in my opinion, I would say, you don't have the option to customize as much on iOS than you do with Android, because with Android you could customize the sound in the settings, you can do a lot of things, whereas in Apple they used to have that if you had an H series chip, but because it doesn't have that, you don't get audio accessibility, you don't get to go in there and make those changes to tune the audio your way. So I kind of hope that Apple maybe eventually opens up audio accessibility or headphone accommodations for the Studio Pros and other studios that don't have the H series chip. I hope so, but we'll see what happens. So overall, what do I think of these headphones? Well guys, listen, I have been so excited when these headphones came out because again, covering it and now using it, I can absolutely tell you guys that these are a huge upgrade if you have the Studio 3s, and for $350, they do a lot more than what the AirPods Max are doing in terms of hardware and in terms of features. But there are a few negatives that I do want to talk about because there isn't anything without its faults. For starters, the biggest negative that I have is that after a while, remember how I told you at the top that it doesn't happen as much, well, after a while it starts to build again, and I hate that feeling at the top of your head. Number two, while the sound quality is very, very good, I felt it could have been a little bit more better if it had built-in EQs or some way to customize the sound to your liking. And number three, the power button being a multi-gesture button can be confusing because sometimes I try to switch the active noise canceling and it just turns the headphones off. So I kind of wish that there was a dedicated button or even built into the B button, allow for customization in that area. I feel like it's more restricted on iOS than it is on Android, but maybe eventually Apple will open it up with software updates, and you do get all your Apple integrations with blank Siri and all that stuff. But overall, I can tell you, for $350, this is a great upgrade if you have the Studio 3s, and if you were looking for an over-ear right now in the Apple ecosystem, this one plays very, very nicely. It's very well rounded. It has a lot to offer, and I absolutely recommend it for the price that it's coming in at. Sure, there are other headphones, there are other things and things I could talk about, but essentially these are awesome. These are an awesome pair of headphones. The dynamic tracking, the head tracking right alone is a great thing to have, and I think for $350, it's well worth the price, at least what it's offering now in comparison to what it was before. So I definitely recommend them if you're a gym person, if you're an active user, if you're a person that likes the Beats quality, because now Beats cares about the quality and not just the fashion. So that is it for this episode of Technoid. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, you can hit the dislike button. That helps circulate my videos as well. As always, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all on the next episode. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Take care, stay safe, have a good day, and peace!